But I do not think our tax dollars should be taken from us and then given to the purple-haired they-them down the street so they can crochet rainbow scarves to sell on Etsy. But that's what's going on. Oh, yeah, that's good stuff right there. That's some nice, tasty coffee. 1776 brand. You can pick that up at brewedco.com. 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 Get yourself some 1776 coffee. I'm having this today with a little bit of honey. Frothed up my milk. A little bit of mocha. Delicious. Almost as delicious as supporting me in my state treasurer's race will be. And if ever there was an episode to win over your vote for state treasurer, it's this episode. Because today we're going to be going over my end of year wasteful spending report. That's right. I've done the hard work. I've dug into just what is publicly available and have produced hundreds of millions of dollars of wasteful spending at our state level. Now, I'm going to be going through this wasteful spending and what we spent money on. But before I do that, if you could, please hit the like, share, comment. If you're listening to this live, go ahead and share it right quick to your page. I did the hard work of seeking out this overspending, this wasteful spending, this kinds of stuff. You got to work with me here. We got to spread the word so that way it gets addressed. Electing me state treasurer, all that does is gives me better access to the budget where I can continue to share with you guys these kinds of things. And we can continue to address overspending. So we're going to talk about that. Additionally, as well, if you could, you can go to C4KY.com, C4KY.com, and you can donate to the campaign. If I'm going through this wasteful spending and you're getting upset, go to C4KY.com and donate, because that's how we're going to do something about it. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, for those of you watching in the video format, if you're watching this as a replay, you can always catch this in the podcast platform, audio only versions on Spotify, Apple, and wherever else podcasts are listened to or whatever. Now, that being stated, like I said, like, comment, share, subscribe, and let's dig into it. Oh, you can also text the word Liberty to 33777. Text the word Liberty to 33777. We texted out this wasteful spending report just the other day. So they got it before you guys did. And without further ado, let's dig into it. Wasteful spending. So first, we've got our total state budget for the fiscal year 2022 of $41.5 billion. Now, of course, a lot of that, probably the majority of that, is federal pass-through. So, states administer Medicare, Medicaid, things like that. And then the federal government gives them some money there to deal with that. However, misspending of that money certainly can affect things, because the Cabinet for Health and Family Services, which wastes millions of our dollars, as we're going to dig into, certainly plays a part. And the question becomes too, it's kind of one of those things where, the old analogy of if you need $100 for your rent and your mom gives you $100, but then you also go buy a TV for $100, but you paid your rent with $100. And you tell your mom, no, I took your $100 and I paid my rent with it. And then I went and bought this TV with this other $100. Did you waste their money? Did you waste your mom's money? I think you did. And that's what we're going to see in some of this here. But let's dig into it. First, right off the bat, we have more and more free COVID testing. Oh, of course, too, as well, guys. You can see this where you can see this report, at Cooperrider4ky.com/waste. You can just go to Andrew4ky.com. You can even go to C4ky.com. And in the top right-hand corner, you're going to see a list there, of course, where you can kind of dig into it, and you can view that too as well. And so without further ado, let's jump on into it. So digging into it first, right off the bat, we got more and more free COVID testing, $102 million. So this was two $51 million contracts that have been authorized. So as people get their testing done, the state reimbursed those testing costs. And the real question is, how long is this going to continue? I mean, we don't do this for the flu. We don't do this for anything else where the state is paying for that. Now you could say, hey, this is pulled in from federal dollars, but once again, going back to my analogy before, does it allow us to spend on some other things additionally as well? As I've covered in different podcasts, it gives claims and rising questions about the wild health contracts that these multi-million dollar contracts are going to with no bid, and paying way above market value too for these tests. And considering too, you can get 4 free from the federal government. How much more free testing? And how much longer are we going to continue doing that? Well, in the state of Kentucky, at least $102 million more over the last year. The second thing we have is equity coaching for state staffers. So this is the buzzword. I've covered this in some prior podcasts where I'm talking about this DEI stuff, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Essentially, we're going to talk about this some other ways, but equity detaches, and as I've said priorly, equity gets caught up in the outcome. Okay. So basically, if you put out an ad to hire and you have mostly white people that apply, but you live in an area that's, let's say 30% minority, and you have 90% of white people apply to the ad. Did you do or say anything in the ad that said, hey, white people only? Of course not. That's crazy. That's stupid. Doesn't make any sense. But the race baiters out there, the race hustlers, the people who make quite a little nice income off of convincing you all that you're racist and just don't know it, would say, well, it's because you've done something racist, and you need special training in order to realize you're not how to handle it. And so we spent $4.7 million on equity, diversity, and inclusion needs for school staff. So this is part of critical race theory. This is a part of gender theory. This is a part of all that side of things where, and the basic idea of what they're saying here is that all teachers are racist. And if they don't receive this special training, they'll continue to be racist. And because they are racist, for some reason, minorities are going to do worse in school because they are all racist. Preposterous, I know. But, the state felt need to spend $4.7 million just in what we could find. Now, guys, as I'm going through this list, remember this too. This is honestly more of a partial list. You're going to hear a lot of hundreds of millions of dollars of spending in here. We left off stuff. Okay, we figured this was enough for people to chew on. There is a lot more. And let me tell you, it gets disgusting. So we got equity coaching state staffers, $4.7 million. We have the $410 million Ford deal. Now, you guys have heard me do podcasts in depth on this before. If you need to, go back and listen to it. I don't want to rehash it here. But out of that $410 million, $250 million of it up front. And now a lot of Republicans even vote for this. So you could say that this is a lot of Democrat stuff. The testing, Democrat stuff, equity coaching, obviously Democrat stuff. Well, you say obviously, but recently, especially if you pay any attention to my race, the treasurer's race, you're seeing some Republicans that are in support of this anti-racism DEI stuff, and then calling themselves conservative, trying to dupe everybody into believing that that's true. They're Marxists, they're communists, that's what they are. And they need to get out of the Republican Party because they have no place in it with those types of thoughts, with the belief that people should be treated differently based upon their skin color, which is what DEI says. People with those kinds of beliefs, those racist beliefs, need to exit the Republican Party. That being stated, a lot of Republicans voted for this $410 million to Ford. And let me tell you, I am a Republican. And in fact, if you doubt me, look at my mug here. Look at that. I am drinking out of a Republican Party of Kentucky mug, and it's, and what's in there is delicious. But let me tell you this much. I'm not a Republican because I like other Republicans. I like some other Republicans. I don't like other Republicans. I am a Republican because I believe in the party platform. And the party platform states that we do not believe in corporate welfare. And also it states that we believe that government doesn't create economic opportunities, but can only hinder them. That is in our platform. And I think it's incredibly important that we stick to that platform. However, Republicans saw fit to vote for this $410 million, and Beshear saw fit to give $250 million of that $410 million to Ford up front before they've even broken ground on their new battery plant. And like I said, I've done podcasts on this in depth before. Go back, listen to them, learn more about this Ford deal. The more and more you learn about it, the more and more egregious it becomes, and you start to wonder how we ever came into this position. But anyways, $410 million, a new battery plant for Ford. Of course, Tennessee got a much larger plant, had a much cheaper cost per the plant size. I don't think they gave as much, or they gave slightly more, but they're getting much more plant. So, of course, our negotiators suck too as well. And it just goes to show that we have to shell that out because it's so unappealing to do business in Kentucky. And it's so unappealing for people like myself. I'm a small business owner. If you addressed how unappealing it is to do business in Kentucky rather than handing out $410 million, you would benefit all of us, including the consumer. They'd have lower costs because it wouldn't be so expensive to do business in Kentucky. But instead of fixing that, we will steal $410 million from our taxpayers. And I say stealing because, once again, if you don't pay it, who shows up? So we're going to steal it and then redistribute that wealth to the Fortune, I believe, 100 company, Ford, in order to get them to build a battery plant, because somehow that's good for everybody involved. It seems like it's only good for Ford. And of course, the state government gets to claim, well, we're adding in jobs. And of course, the state government is obsessed with adding in jobs and growth. And you say, why is that? Our unemployment's low. Now, granted, we have a low labor participation rate, but forcing people to kind of work by pooling some of those benefits may help with that. There's some other addresses that we can go into about low labor participation rates. That being set to the side, this plant is going in and just south of Louisville, real close to Louisville. You know, people are going to have to move in. I mean, that's like a joke they make. People are going to have to move in. Why is the state so vested in adding to their population? Because it grows their tax base. Why do they want to grow their tax base? Because they want more money. They try to claim they need more money for like roads and bridges and potholes, ignoring the fact that when you add in more people, your expenses on road, bridges, and potholes get a lot more. So it negates itself. It doesn't make sense. But of course, they believe it's a win for them because it brings in more money and everything else. And granted, the people that end up getting jobs at these plants, great for them. Maybe it's a higher paying job than they're used to. Maybe it's the same job that they could get somewhere else at the same kind of pay. I don't know. But more importantly, the real winners in this is, of course, Ford. They're getting almost $500 million. And then, of course, the state government is getting, hopefully in the future, if this works out, I got a feeling it won't. But hopefully, if this works out, they're hoping that, well, we'll end up being able to have more money in the government. And this is Republicans too, more money in the government. And so that way we can do more things, AKA control your life more. So anyways, moving on from the Ford deal, I've covered that in extent. So we found one very direct, good example, but there's a lot more of this going on, of government paying to lobby government. So we've got University of Louisville paid $110,000 for a lobbyist for 4 months, because that's how long they're in session, to lobby the government. So University of Louisville, who is a taxpayer-funded entity to a degree, of course, they're supported by endowments and tuition and things like that, but they are a branch of government, paid $110,000 to lobby government. So state government lobbied state government. And it makes no sense. Why is government paying to lobby itself? What do representatives do? I mean, the representatives who cover the area that includes Louisville, are they not paid to represent Louisville, but yet somehow they have to hire a lobbyist to represent them? I mean, there's tons of these. You take the county clerks. They have a lobbying. The county clerks have a lobbyist. The County Clerks Association has a lobbyist to lobby for county clerks, because apparently the representatives and state senators that are supposed to be representing their county governments they got to pay money to some private person in order to talk to them. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I personally would certainly like to stop taxpayer-funded lobbying, because that's what it is. Taxpayers paying money to have some private person talk to somebody else who's also paid for by the taxpayers. Out of control. Next, we got finding a new provost for UK. University of Kentucky paid $232,000 to find a new provost. Now, you may be saying, well, how much does a provost pay exactly? Well, I'll tell you. The University of Kentucky provost, I'm seeing salary information here for Timothy S. Tracy, gets paid $420K a year. Okay, $420K a year. They paid $232,000 to an out-of-state corporation to do a search for a new provost that is paid they over half of what they pay in a year for a provost, like salary, was paid just to find a provost. I could have done it for cheaper. You could have done it. I'll conduct your interviews for you for cheaper. I mean, is it, I get it. You got to go out and recruit all these other things, but you're paying $420K a year. Surely you can find some applicants, right? Surely. You would say so, but UK paid over half of the provost's yearly salary to find a provost. Out of control. Next, we got a random number generator for the lottery. Okay, so the Kentucky State Lottery spends $100,000 a year for a random number generator. Now, some of you may be listening and say, that doesn't sound like that much or something like that. I can tell you, as somebody who's involved in tech as far as that goes, and somebody who's involved in that side of things, and ask any web developer, any web designer, any programmer, and ask them how easy is it to generate a random number generator, and they would say it is the simplest piece of code there's ever been. Okay? I mean, literally, there's ever been. Like, I can literally sit there and Google random number generator, and I just did. I said generate a random number, 1 out of 100, 91, 27, 26, 43, 9. I'm doing it. I'm generating random numbers. I mean, what do we need? We need 1 million? Okay, let's add in 1 million here. I'm doing this on a free thing. This was the first result on Google, okay? 938,561. Let's see here. 135,888. Okay, I'm just rattling off numbers 1 through 10. You can pay me $100,000 a year to do the number drawing for you guys. I'll just sit here hitting this button, and I will generate those numbers for you. 645, 788, 649, 530, 79,881. These are numbers all 1 through 1 million. 810,396. Look at that. 795,892. 473,03. This is simple code. That's the point. This is simple code. And then we spend another $25,000 a year to make sure it's random enough. And then we ask ourselves why the Kentucky State Lottery, while its receipts have gone up, percentages, its contributions to education has also gone up, but they haven't matched each other. In fact, there's about $12 million a year difference between the percentage-wise, how much the receipts have gone up compared to what's being contributed to education. We wonder where that goes. Where's that other money going? Well, you don't have to wonder too much, because apparently they had to pay $125,000 a year, $100,000 for the number generator, then $25,000 to audit it. And you just heard me. Generating random numbers off of a free Google. I'm not limited. I can do this all day. And you can pay me to do it. I'll do it for you guys. You don't got to worry about it. I've got it handled. Okay? I mean, I don't know. It just seems ridiculous, right? And I understand some people are going to say, "Oh, Andrew, it's a lottery and everything else." But look at how simple and easy it is to generate random numbers. It's simple code. Next here, we got a health equity dashboard, $1.86 million to track health equity, or what kind of racism and bigotry do we have in healthcare? That's right. They're tracking to see healthcare outcomes based upon racial grounds to see if they need to beat their nurses more into not having, into not being racist. You think I'm lying? It has been added on as a license requirement in Kentucky for nurses to take implicit bias training. For those of you who don't know what implicit bias training is, It is a training that says you are racist. You don't realize it. We're going to prove to you that you're racist and don't realize it. We're going to do some random test that's already been disproven a million times over to not be an actual indicator of implicit bias. But of course, this is how our science works now these days. And then they're going to go ahead and track whether or not you're racist in your healthcare. And whether or not these nurses and doctors, are they being racist? Like they're coming into the room and they're treating people differently based on their skin color. But that's what they want you to believe. And they're going to pay $1.8 million proving that to you. They're going to spend $1.8 million to prove that the nurses and doctors in Kentucky are racist. $1.8 million of your taxpayer funds being spent to prove that our doctors and nurses are racist. What a waste. What a waste. What a waste. We got another $116 million going to yet another battery plant. This time the company, though, not American company, Japanese company, of course. And at some point, we're going to have a discussion here about why the Kentucky taxpayers, over $500 million at this point, invested in electric vehicles, specifically batteries. A lot of money being placed that technology stays true, and electric vehicles aren't just a fad. And what do I mean by that? We just had this cold snap. Our grid couldn't handle it. We had rolling blackouts in Kentucky to deal with cold weather. And then you want to tell me, yeah, we can handle it if we have 25% of our electric vehicles? We're giving out millions and billions of dollars at the state and federal level to put in place these electric vehicles without a thought, a penny, nothing about upgrading our electrical grid. That conversation isn't being had because that's a whole nother expense that the taxpayers are being kept in the dark about. And what happens when we hit a point that we have to upgrade that grid in order to continue to have these electric vehicles? Not only that, but what happens when people realize, no, maybe I don't want an electric vehicle all the time. I mean, after all, like I said, during this cold time, we saw a lot of electric vehicles getting stranded. And so it is frankly a very risky proposition, I believe, for us to have this much put into electric vehicles. We haven't even had a discussion about the cost of chemicals, materials. Where are we going to find lithium from? I mean, that goes into geopolitical side of things. Kentucky's already through soybeans so reliant upon China because that's our number one export of agricultural to China is soybeans. And so we're already so reliant, our farmers are. Now let's make our entire industry reliant on lithium coming over from the Asian area and causing more conflict between Chinese and Kentucky. It's just the whole thing's a mess, and it's clearly not thought through. It's clearly just something that they're doing for political talking points and taglines, and it hasn't been thought through at all. And yet the Kentucky taxpayer, you and I, are the ones on the hook for it. Next, we got $1.1 million for Andy Beshear to have 16 assistants. That's right. In Andy Beshear's office, he has 16 individuals with the title assistant. What do they do? I don't know. You can tell me if you know what these assistants are doing. You can tell me. I get it. Andy Beshear, he's a big baby. He needs a lot of assistants in general. You got to take care of him. Maybe there's one person just in charge of making him feel good. Another person's in charge of keeping track of his emergency management jacket in case he loses it and there's an emergency. Maybe he's got another assistant in charge of making sure that the pictures are being taken properly. And then he's got another assistant in charge of making sure his other assistants are being nice enough to Andy and not getting frustrated with him. I don't know what all these assistants are for, but $1.1 million a year to the taxpayer for these 16 assistants. Ridiculous. Now we got more CRT-based spending, $203,000 to do critical race theory assessments, CRT assessments, DEI assessments in our state government to just see how racist they are. I mean, right here, this is right from the contracts, assessments of existing structures, culture, and climate with a focus on equity, inclusion, and diversity. Guys, this leftist trope, this onslaught is just going to continue. As we continue, our tax dollars, there's nothing I hate more than these racist communistic ideologies than when my tax dollars are taken from me and pushed it. And that leads me to our next thing, the state-funded LGBTQ choir. This voices Kentucky, Voices of Kentuckiana, okay? So what does Voices of Kentuckiana do? Well, I'm going to read you right from their website, okay? This is right from their website, under history. Voices of Kentuckiana is an inclusive chorus for the community that changes hearts and minds through song. We were founded in 1994 and are the oldest LGBTA arts organization in Kentucky. Voices provides an opportunity for LGBT and allies to sit. That's what the A stands for. Honey, the A in LGBTA stands for allies. They added allies. Yeah. Anyway, sorry about that. We were wondering about that earlier. So anyways, allies, to sing together and to perform music that is meaningful to our audience. Well, maybe the A stands for audiences. Anyway, and to our audiences. We strive to celebrate the diverse community that we share and educate and energize with our music. So let me say it to you another way. Your tax dollars, my tax dollars, are funding a choir whose stated purpose and goal is to brainwash you into thinking that their lifestyle of believing they're a different gender and they have these pronouns and all that other crud is acceptable and okay, and they're trying to change your hearts and mind. Their stated purpose is to change your hearts and minds on whether or not you think it's wrong to be LGBTQA. Well, the A is the ally. So just LGBTQ plus. I tell you what, I believe the gender theory stuff, the CRT stuff, the leftist stuff, I believe that's a religion. And I don't want your tax dollars funding my church choir. I don't want it to. I don't think our tax dollars should. And I also don't think our tax dollars should be funding the church of the left. This weird worship they do of the one's self and their self-identity. And I also don't think our tax dollars should be spent trying to change our hearts and minds. That's propaganda. That's propaganda. And I don't think our tax dollars should be sent there. And yeah, I said it. Voices of Kentuckiana, the LGBTQ choir that's taxpayer funded, is propaganda. It's leftist propaganda, and I hate the fact that my money is going towards it because it shouldn't. Just like your money shouldn't go towards my church choir, my money shouldn't go to your gay choir or lesbian choir or LGBTQ choir or they don't know what they are that day choir. Shouldn't be happening. Next, we got creating programs to benefit diverse individuals. Yes, that's what the program is actually titled, Diverse Individuals. Let me break this program down for you. We are giving $8.75 million to help diverse we're giving $8.75 million to private nonprofits to start up private nonprofit programs to benefit specifically diverse individuals. So I'm going to guess if you're white and straight, don't apply to this program, you will not be accepted. What's the program to do? Well, we're giving them this money to jumpstart, hoping that after 3 years, these private nonprofits can fund themselves through private donations. Fat chance. But anyways, and what are we going to do? Well, we're going to help these diverse individuals wade through all the red tape that Kentucky has created for all of us to start a business, get through that, and then also we're going to help find them funding and things like that to help start up their business. I'm going to say this, and there's people who hate watch this that will be thinking to themselves, wow, Andrew's an awful person for saying this, but I'm going to say it. I don't care. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you do. Our tax-paying dollars should be taken from us and then used to create a program that asks you things like, what's your skin color? Who do you sleep with at night? What do you identify as now? And if you answer straight, white, and male or straight and white, you don't qualify for that program. If those are the first requirements are you a transgender white person? Are you just a straight white? Oh, can't come in. Who do you sleep with at night? Nope, can't come in. What's your skin color? Nope, can't get in this program. I do not think our tax dollars should be going to programs that ask questions like that in order to get benefits from it. Call me crazy, call me hateful, but I do not think our tax dollars should be taken from us and then given to the purple-haired them down the street so they can crochet rainbow scarves to sell on Etsy. But that's what's going on. Our tax dollars being taken from us and then being given to help specific individuals without being a program offered to everybody because, well, that person has decided to identify differently today. I think that's really wrong. I hope you do too. Finally, we have the super important Japanese botanical garden. That's right. We spent $1.5 million to put a Japanese botanical garden in Louisville, state taxpayer dollars. Yes, you're going to be dodging bullets to get there. Yes, your rims of your car may be broken by the massive potholes on your way. And yes, you may live very far away from Louisville, but $1.5 million were still spent to build that park. I have a hunch if you ask Kentuckians, especially people who live in Louisville, would you rather have safer streets and less potholes or a $1.5 million Japanese botanical garden? They're going to choose safer streets, less potholes. They're going to want to be able to walk at night without worrying about getting mugged before they worry about some bonsai tree. Call me crazy. Once again, Cooperrider, Crazy Coop, coming out here saying crazy things like, I don't want to be shot at more than I want a Japanese botanical garden. But that's the case. But of course, this super, super, duper, duper important thing saw fit to waste $1.5 million on. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And this is all in that 2022 Wasteful Spending Report. You can find it at Cooperrider4ky.com/waste. Just go to Andrew4ky. You can see that. You can see our sources in that. And, it really is a detailed report. Think about what we can do as treasure, right, as we dig into it. Well, guys, that's all we have time for. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. Please, like I said, like, comment, share, subscribe. And thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful day. Godspeed.